1-0 LA. The forecheck was improved early, and then it got back up. I think the Kings forced a lot of turnovers. A lot of loose punch from that forecheck. So that's the one thing they want to get back to as they look forward to period number 2. But they did the job. They were
What's up? Watching a little LA Kings hockey right now. But it's in between periods, so I thought I'd come in and check out the freaks. Check out what the nighttime Earlverse would be like. Did one this morning, and we had a couple heads in there. 20 or so Earlomaniacs. This King Flame game is getting a little chippy. And of course, O.J. Simpson died today. Rest in peace. Maybe the greatest double murderer of all time. Allegedly, of course. Allegedly. And we've got still more fallout from AEW Dynamite last night. But I think that AEW achieved their objective. I mean, everyone's talking about the Young Bucks and, Will Ospreay's little dig at Triple H. So I'm pretty confident that mission accomplished. But the key, with AEW is how do you follow it up now? You got eyes on the product now. Now you got to get those same eyes to want to see, okay, what's going to happen tonight on Dynamite? And that's where they've failed. The Devil storyline kind of sputtered out. Wardlow has sputtered out 2 to 3 times. They need someone to walk into that creative room and go, hey, Tony Khan, this isn't cutting it anymore. I have the feeling it's just a bunch of yes men around Tony. And, it's not doing the company well. You need some outside heads going, you need to do this. You need to do that. I mean, you're always going to be behind WWE and production. There's nothing you can do about that. But I think AEW has the better roster. I mean, look at the people in AEW right now who are in the title contention. It's Swerve Strickland, the guy's a star. MJF will be fully healed at some point. Okada, maybe the most known overseas wrestler on the planet. Will Ospreay. If Okada's not the number one overseas wrestler, Ospreay is. You got Jay White. You got Samoa Joe. Even though he's older, he's still a very, very good representative of what the heavyweight champion should be. You've got Pac. He's great. You've got Adam Copeland. You've got Christian. You got Bryan Danielson. You got Wardlow, if they could ever figure out how to use him. And you've got some, top flights, young and upcoming. I mean, I'm not really down with the Shane Taylor Promotions shit, but, they got a lot of talent. The women's division, Mercedes Moné, Toni Storm, Willow Nightingale, Sky Blue, Julia Hart. You got to figure you'll have Dr. Britt Baker soon when she comes back, Jamie Hayter when she comes back. There's a lot of good things going on now. Ronda Rousey's in Ring of Honor, so I don't know if that means she could pop over into AEW like that. But, that would get WWE eyes on the product. That would have been cool to see Ronda Rousey be the devil. That would have gotten a big pop. Of course, I wanted it to be Dolph Ziggler, but Nick Nemeth. And yes, I'm taping TNA and New Japan Wrestling tonight. I like to see what's going on out there. I keep my finger in the air. I follow the stink. So, an exciting time, when you've got both wrestling companies sniping each other and bickering with each other. It's very WCW, WWE, and that was the last golden era of wrestling to me. And then once WWE bought WCW, it just kind of really faded. And to be honest with you, it sucked. And then, we got hockey playoffs coming, some big games tonight. Islanders won, so they're kind of back in the race. Last I checked, the Flyers were up 2-1 against the Rangers. Flyers have to win the next 3 games or it's over, Johnny. And even then, they need a little bit of help. So you've got, I think the football season is, preseason workouts and stuff. It's been a little bit of drama with the Steelers because George Pickens didn't meet with Russell Wilson down in San Diego like Pat Freiermuth and a couple of the other receivers did. So, it should be very interesting. We got baseball in full swing now. Ohtani hit his first homer, and he's got his gambling problem, with his interpreter. I mean, I find it hard to believe that this guy didn't directly bet on Dodger, or I should say Angel games last year. So there's some problems brewing in the Ohtani circle. And this guy was betting crazy money. I think the interpreter lost $80 million. He won $40 million. So he was $40 million in the fucking hole, man. That's bonkers. And Ohtani, he's like a super nerd. Like he doesn't like when they're on the road, he just stays in the hotel room. He doesn't really like sports. Now I know he just got married, so hopefully he's fucking, but who knows? Who knows, man? That's a situation to monitor. I mean, I find it really hard to believe that Ohtani didn't know anything about this guy, betting $120 million combined. Like, no one's that in the weeds. Like, I have someone do my taxes and monitor my money, but if there's even a penny missing, I know. Now, granted, Ohtani has a lot more money than I do, but still. And by the way, let me do some promotional things here. At the end of May, I'll be in Vegas for Hackamania. And even though I'm anti-Dabbleverse, I will do a Dabbleverse-related comedy show. So I think it's 20% off. Discount with the code of just Earl. And of course, you guys know where to follow me. It's literally at Earl Skakel everywhere. There's no excuse. And even if you can't super chat me, which is fine. I know times are tight, baby dolls. You can, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notifications. What's up, Sheriff Numbskull? Come on in, baby. The water's fine. Do you perform at Skankfest? I did Skankfest maybe 5 years ago, and that was enough for me. I mean, I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. Luis Gomez and I believe Jay Okerson's wife or girlfriend, what was her name? Stephanie, I think. They treated me very nice. But I don't know if I would do it again. I just want to do stand up, and I have a male fan base. I think I looked at my YouTube analytics. At least on YouTube, 98% of the people who watch my videos are dudes. And it's definitely a dude-heavy crowd. So do you think Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame? I do. And here's why. Because there's so many fucking scumbags in the Hall of Fame. Now B40, before I answer your question, how old are you, may I ask? 40? You B40? I'm only asking because I'm going to mention a few players' names that I'm going to guess you don't know. Oh, 48. So maybe you'll know these names, but I'm 55. So, we're relatively the same um, era, give or take a 7-year difference. But, Gaylord Perry, was the master of the spitball. And I think he said he used a spitball in every game he pitched in. That's cheating. Don Sutton illegally filed baseballs with, I think, a razor blade. That's cheating. He's in the Hall of Fame. Ty Cobb was a racist. He's in the Hall of Fame. And there's many players who used amphetamines before games. They're in the Hall of Fame. And if you think Mark McGwire and Canseco and Palmeiro and Sosa were the only one, Barry Bonds were the only 5 guys in the history of baseball who took steroids, that's crazy. There's guys in the Hall of Fame who did steroids. There's guys in the Hall of Fame who gambled. So I do think that Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. By all accounts, he never bet on his team to lose, which I think is the um, criteria. Most people are like, okay, well, if he's betting on them to win, he's doing his best to win. And I remember when Pete Rose was managing the Reds, and I think Tom Browning was their best pitcher. He's a lefty. I think he had a no-hitter or two. And I remember thinking some games they left him in too much. So, it's one of those weird things that, he might have still affected the integrity of a game if Tom Browning got tired and he couldn't pitch anymore, but he had to stay in the game. But like I said, if you start kicking people out for gambling and you know spitballs and steroids, you're not going to have a Hall of Fame. Well, I mean that I don't know. B40. I mean that's kind of like the taboo um, thing is that they're willing to look the other way if he was only betting on the Reds to win. Dave Parker, I think, should be in the Hall of Fame, and he's basically been blackballed because of the cocaine scandal in the late '70s, early '80s in the Pirates locker room. I mean, Dave Parker, was the best player in the game, I would say, from '78 to '82. Now, it's not a tremendous run, but if you look at his stats compared to like Fred McGriff, the crime dog was great. But, if I'm starting a franchise and you can have players in their prime, I'm picking Dave Parker. Hernandez, I don't know if he ever had the stats. I mean, he was a good player. But to me, even though Parker's run was short, he had a great career, and his prime, although, like I said, it was relatively short, his best years, he had the best arm in baseball. He was probably the best home run hitter, maybe outside of George Foster. Um, and, he stole bases. So, it'll be interesting. I don't think he'll ever get in because he's getting up there. Listen, I'm not saying Pete Rose is a great guy, but um, my point is, Omar, that you've got a lot of scummy people in the Hall of Fame. So I believe Pete Rose is should be in on his playing ability. Um, so I don't. Obviously, I wish he didn't gamble on the game. It's a huge black eye for baseball and a black eye for him. But um, I just think that unless there's something, it's a double-edged sword. You want to keep baseball clean, but like there's so many unclean players in the Hall of Fame already that I think Pete Rose should be in. He was the best hitter in the history of baseball. So, I mean, I think there's going to be some shit that we'll never know about Otani. There's no way this motherfucking interpreter was gambling over $100 million and Otani had no idea. Like I said, I just did my taxes and paid a very large bill, and I knew where every fucking penny went. Now, granted, I don't have hundreds of millions of dollars, but there's no way Otani didn't, at the minimum, suspect this guy was ripping him off. In or San Diego Chicken, absolutely. Ted what's his name? Ted something. I did do that. Kip Smith. Um, it's like hockey. There's guys who cheated. You think Marty McSorley was the only one using an illegal stick back in the day? Fuck no. You think goalies weren't cheating? What about in the era when like Garth Snow was wearing pads that? Jesus Christ, man. I mean, technically they weren't illegal, but well, he's not going to get in the Hall of Fame. But like, I think if you start poking around any Hall of Fame, you're going to kick a lot of people out. So, yeah, hit the like button. Hit the like button. What do you think of Juice dying? Fuck him. I hope it was the most painful prostate cancer anyone's ever experienced. I mean, the guy killed 2 people. And obviously, we're all talking about it. But I don't care if OJ was white, I'd say the same thing. I don't care if the victims were black, I'd say the same thing. This was a crime of passion. He literally chopped 2 people's heads off. I mean, I have a friend of mine I played hockey with. What up, Ross? Uh, uh, I have a friend of mine who was a LA sheriff. So, I mean, this guy's been in gang units, crash units, drug units. This guy has seen it all. But he told me that he saw the autopsy photos and they spooked him. So if this guy gets spooked, the crime scene was pretty brutal. And I don't think the cops got together in the middle of the fucking night and said, hey, let's frame OJ. The cops loved OJ because a lot of cops are football players. So you take arguably the greatest living running back and relatively the prime of his life still. Um, they were not going to frame him for a double murder. They were called to his house 20 times on domestic violence incidents, and he never once went to jail or was called into the station. If that's me or anyone in the stream, we're called in the first time. So I never bought into the cops framing OJ. And then all of a sudden, he has a cut on his fucking hand the same night his wife is chopped to pieces. Come on, man. I mean, I believe OJ did it. I believe maybe the son was a lookout. Um, but I don't know. I mean, we'll never know, to be honest with you. Well, OJ had an insane defense team. I mean, and I never really cared about the gloves not fitting. He could have still killed 2 people with the gloves being a little snug. I mean, look at the offensive linemen and how mobile offensive linemen are. And their jerseys are so fucking tight, skin tight, because they don't want the defensive lineman to hold them. And I'm sure the defensive linemen have the same shit, like shirts that are literally like that. And they move very well. So Kings just scored. Victor Arvidsson, baby. 2-0. LA Kings up early in the second period against the Calgary Flames. Sucker. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think OJ. Here's what I think happened. Um, OJ cheated on every girlfriend and wife he ever had. Now, I know couples who cheat on each other openly, and it's just, they like, hey, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to know where you were tonight because I'm cheating on you tomorrow night. So we're cool like that. Like Gene Simmons and Shannon Tweed. I think before they got married, it was an arrangement almost. You're going to cheat on me. I'm going to cheat on you. We're going to go home to our kids. OJ did not have that arrangement with Nicole. I think he was stalking her. I think he went over to snoop around her house that night. He looked in the window. He saw lighted candles everywhere. And you know what that means? She's about to fuck someone, not named OJ. He goes to confront her. She opens the door. Ron Goldman walks up at literally the absolute worst fucking time. I think OJ looks at him and probably says, oh, this is the guy you're going to fuck tonight? And he did what he did. I mean, I think that's a pretty likely scenario. And then the cover up began. Now, listen, have black people been framed by dirty white comics, dirty white cops? They absolutely have. But this wasn't the case, Sarah. And to me, you look at how OJ acted after the trial. He said himself in 94, I will spend every living, breathing moment I have tracking down the real killers. And I don't think the real killers were on golf courses throughout Southern California. So, how old was OJ at the time? Well, I mean, this happened in 1994, so I would probably say he's 40 or something. Trailer Park. Jungle Boy and Tony Khan, both rich kids with more successful fathers. We can talk a little AEW. I'm listen, it worked. They got I think a 9% increase in ratings. Now the key is how do you follow it up next week? But I'm glad they showed it. One, because it was very interesting to me. I mean, look how nervous Samoa Joe looked. And Samoa Joe is an established fucking big time wrestler, and he looked nervous. And then you've got, I think, Malachi Black came in. It's just like a comedy backstage, a comedy show. Everyone's walking around, they're nervous, they're getting into their head. Well, I disagree with you, Trailer Park. And here's my opinion on it. All I've heard is CM Punk choked out Jack Perry and that Jack Perry was the aggressor. I mean, that's what most dirt sheets said. And I think from that standpoint, the videotape kind of rehabilitated Jack Perry to a degree because he didn't get choked out. Now, you might argue if Joe doesn't step in, he eventually would have been choked out. But, and it wasn't a sucker punch. I think it was a sucker push, and then CM Punk jumped on him. Now, you might say, well, Jack Perry's just too slow. I don't think Jack Perry thought there was going to be a fight. I think CM Punk, and, we don't have the audio, so it's hard to say what they were talking about. So I think that, maybe Jack Perry said something about his mom or something, and then CM Punk was like, fuck you. But I don't have a problem with what AEW did last night. Now, because to me, CM Punk started it. He brought it up. I think AEW had to respond. They would have looked like total bitches if they just let CM Punk do that interview and not respond to it. And the same thing with Will Ospreay and what he said about Triple H. I mean, Triple H started that, because WWE and Triple H, they're the hot chick, and they're mad that Ospreay rejected them. I mean, what wrestler on God's green earth wouldn't choose more money and less travel? But it was, I think, what rubbed Osprey the wrong way, and even if you don't like Will Osprey, and there's people who don't like Will Osprey. There's people who sit there and all he does are wacky spots, and it's not really wrestling, but he's a great athlete. And there's not a wrestler on the planet who travels more than him. He lives in the UK. He comes to America. Next week he's in the UK. Next week he's in Japan. And he's putting on 5 fucking star matches. So I'm sure Triple H was a little butthurt that both he and Okada were like, no, we're going to go to AEW. So I think that I have no problem with what AEW did. Now, here's the trick. What do you do next week on Dynamite? Yeah, I mean, Edge really does look like the bad guy from Cobra. Well, I mean, I think Tony Khan was probably being a little dramatic when he said he felt his life was in danger. But, Tony Khan's a very small guy. He's not very physically, probably not, has no physical ability at all. And you're sitting there, you're the nerd behind the camera or the gorilla position. And you've got CM Punk, who, I stood next to CM Punk at the gym we both worked out at. He's not a huge guy, but he's not small either. He's probably about my height and weight. So I could see Tony Khan being a little like, oh fuck. Now, I don't think he ever had to fear for his life because Samoa Joe, I think, would have beat the shit out of um, Punk if he laid hands on him. And I mean, CM Punk is a shitty UFC fighter, but I've said this before. A shitty UFC fighter is going to beat the shit out of most common men, but Samoa Joe is so much fucking stronger than CM Punk that um, I don't think Tony Khan should have feared for his life. Now, I've got about 10 friends in AEW in various degrees, and what I mean by that is they're either wrestlers on the roster, they're segment producers and on-air talent. And I've asked them all off the record, hey, CM Punk, good guy or bad guy? Probably about 10 people. And literally all 10 are like, not one person has said, he's a good guy. And, if you look at, the people that CM Punk has a problem with in AEW, you got Kenny Omega. You ever hear a bad word about Kenny Omega? No. The Young Bucks, you've heard various things about their backstage antics. Hangman Page, never really heard a bad word about Hangman Page. Ryan Nemeth, of course, Dolph Ziggler's brother. You never really heard it. I know Ryan, he's like the nicest guy. And then Cole Cabana, outside of CM Punk, you've never really heard a bad word about him. So, all these people have one enemy in common. So, and, when you look at the tape last night, I honestly thought CM Punk was the aggressor. I don't think he was trying to get fired, but I think, and I've seen this before in a comedy club where a young comic, kind of gets cocky and talks shit to an older comic, it's usually me. And my attitude's always been like, hey, fuck you, man. I busted my ass for years in this business before you were even born. Show me some fucking respect. So I get CM Punk's mindset in that regard. Uh, well, I mean, I think, uh, does he resemble Ricardo Montalban? Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're right, Trailer Park. I mean, I don't, that shit happens, in hockey locker rooms, practice. You know how many fights happen on the same team in practice? I think, and probably Jack Perry thought I'm a lot younger than you. I could kick your ass, and like I said, CM Punk's a shitty UFC fighter, but a shitty UFC fighter is going to be able to beat 99% of most people on the street. Yeah, tell me about it, Easy. Well, I mean, I'll just say this, when I've asked my friends uh, about, hey, CM Punk, good guy or bad guy, and some of them are like the nicest guys on earth who don't talk shit about anyone. They all said the same thing. I don't know why William Montgomery's being mentioned in this fucking stream. Ugh. Uh, well, I mean, Sting deserves it. I mean, Jericho's paid his dues. Cody, all those guys deserve it. Well, but that's true. But like, it's still like he's a pretty well-known indie wrestler. I've never heard of anyone having problems with him other than CM Punk. Bruv, you got that right. I mean, Ospreay's a star, man. Well, I mean, listen, oh yeah, I see what you're saying, Daniel M. Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect example of William Montgomery being really disrespectful to not just me, but a lot of um, comics at the Comedy Store because he, listen, before Kill Tony blew up, it was a fun Monday night show, and then once the show was over, the Kill Tony comics were basically asked to leave the fucking store. Like it's like, okay, your time's done here. Come back next week. And you know, there were, like William Montgomery would get really drunk by the hour, and then he would interrupt the paid regular. Here's how it works at the Comedy Store on a Monday night. You have the open mic, and then after the open mic, you have what's called friends and family, and that's for people who are trying to get in at the store but they can't quite make it just yet. And then you have the paid regulars get to go up. So William would hang around all night, and when the paid regulars time was up, he would start like heckling people, and it's like, mother, I almost kicked his ass the last time. But then, about 2 years ago in Austin, he came up to me and he apologized. So we're good now. I mean, we'll probably never be great friends, but that's fine. Um yeah, I mean, but I'm just saying I've never heard anyone have a problem with Omega Page. Certainly not Ryan Nemeth. But it's one of those things that when there's one guy as the common denominator of the problems. Well, I mean, wrestling and comedy are very similar. There are locker rooms basically in comedy. And at the Comedy Store, if your name is on the wall, you just get automatic love. And if your name's not on the wall, you got to stay in your fucking lane until your name is on the wall, and then you can be a little more cockier. It's like I've had problems with roast battle comics who, they're like the Jack Perry of the comedy world, and they walk around the place like they own it, and it's like, your name's not on the wall, man. No one gives a shit about roast battle at this club anymore. The peak is over. The gravy train is over. It might be a fun show for you to do, but back in the prime of the show, Adam the booker watched the show every week. I don't think Emily's ever been up there. So, you guys really have no reason to be cocky. But it goes to the respect thing. So I understand CM Punk's mindset. He probably looks at Jack Perry, and when Jack Perry, what did he slam Christian on glass or something? And he looked into the camera and said, "That's real glass, bitch." I understand CM Punk going, "Hey, fuck this kid. He's Luke Perry's kid. I don't give a shit about Beverly Hills 90210. Get the fuck out of here." But he's an ornery deal. I think Punk is just an ornery guy. I mean, let's be honest. He's had problems everywhere he's gone. Ring of Honor, he was known as kind of being cocky. WWE, obviously, he was known for being acerbic. AEW, they basically built a show around him so he wouldn't have to be around the Bucks, Cabana, or Page, Collision. I mean, I think so, Trailer Park. I mean, that's a good analogy. Oh, okay. I forgot. Yeah, thank you, B40. I was forgetting. I thought it was Jack Perry and Christian, but I mean, listen, Jack Perry's not totally innocent here either. He stirred the pot. He knew by saying that into the camera he was going to piss off Punk. Um, well, thank you, Elway Broughton. Are you new to the stream? Welcome, welcome. Um, Edge does look like the bad guy from Cobra, man. I'm sorry. Um, I mean, if I had this, I would say Elway Broughton 7. Is that Aaron Broughton, tribute? Yeah, I do think I'm like Christian, but I think I'm more like Samoa Joe, where, Samoa Joe struggled for a very long time to get mainstream love. He finally gets it. And, now he's, still, 20 years in, 25 years in, he's still like, um, respected in the locker room. Uh, well, I mean, I think everyone's wrong. I think Perry was wrong for instigating. I think Punk was wrong with how he, I think, he was the aggressor in that backstage incident. And, who knows? Maybe something happened before that shit was caught on cameras. Maybe Jungle Boy walked by Punk and said, "Fuck you, old man." Something like, yeah. Edge does not. I mean, I know we all age. I mean, I'm 55. I got some shave rash right here, but that's about it. But I can't imagine internally what Edge's body feels like. So no, I'm telling Trailer Park. Look up Brian E. Thompson from Cobra. He's a dead ringer for Misha Whoop Whoop. Uh, he's a dead ringer for Adam Copeland, or Adam Copeland's a dead ringer for him. So, but now here's the typical thing with AEW. They got a 9% ratings jump. Now, I'm not going to hold them to do too much tomorrow on Rampage because that's their B show. But what do you do on Collision? You got to follow it up a little bit. And then next Wednesday, the final Dynamite before Dynasty, do you have Jack Perry come out? Or do you hold that off until Dynasty where he cost FTR the victory? I mean, I think you rehabbed Jack Perry a little bit in that clip. Because all I had heard was Jack Perry was choked out. He was CM Punk's bitch. And that's not the case there. If you look back, Perry was trying, he couldn't get out of Samoa Joe's hold, but he was going to go back at Punk. So, I think what I would have done last night is you have the Bucks, narrating the video, and you have a mysterious figure with a t-shirt on that says scapegoat. And either you show it's Jack Perry or you wait until Dynasty. I mean, they could have done more, I thought. Because if you have Jack Perry on last night's episode, they have more ratings. Just because he fits the storyline. Well, they both hop back and forth, I mean, there's no compete clauses, like they have to wait, I believe, 90 days. So if say someone like Seth Rollins' contract is up, he can go to the AEW, but he has to wait for the 90-day no compete. Some people have longer no competes. I don't want to see Mick Foley wrestling. All right, we got a 3-0 lead. The LA Kings up 3-0. They have a 2-man advantage for 50 seconds, 8:55 left to go in the second period. Chris Jericho caves in, chest still freaks me out. Yeah, I mean, that's just, Jericho's been wrestling for 30 fucking years, man. Your body, and someone, it wasn't Swerve Strickland, but someone in AEW has the very beginnings of that. I noticed it last night. Yeah, Islanders are fucking back. Did the Flyers win tonight? Because they need to win. I keep wanting this to be good, but Ace, are you a troll? Are you trolling here? That's all right. No, it's someone in AEW last night. So the Flyers are kind of back in it. They have to win their next 2 games, and then they have to, they need some help. So it should be good. See, I should do what Kevin Brennan does. Ace, if you're trolling me, I should have forced you to super chat me, and then you could say I'm unfunny. Yeah, I mean, uh, or maybe the Islanders winning eliminated the Flyers, but I would like to see um, the Islanders get in there. Show us your OJ block. You should post it in your background. I don't know what the OJ block is. Come on, man. Kongzilla, Pens own the Wings. Yeah, 6-5 is a big win for Pittsburgh. Yeah, I mean, you picked a good team to like in the 80s. I'll tell you that much. 4 straight cups. Um, and then unfortunately the Edmonton Oilers. Yes, OJ did block me. If you look up my name on Twitter, and OJ Simpson. No, OJ didn't block me. Hulk Hogan blocked me. I'm blocked by 3 people on X. OJ is not one of them. It's Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Bill Cosby. So when a man accused of raping 80 people blocks you, you know you're doing something right. Out of control. All right, the 5-on-3 is over. We've got a power play for the next minute. Yeah, and OJ and Aaron Hernandez waiting on Michael, Vic, and Hell. And well, OJ's probably high-fiving Chris Benoit. Hey, man, let's compare notes. I think that's from the Roddy Piper incident where I just got roped in with Piper, and I don't need. Hulk Hogan doesn't look at his own fucking Twitter. It's probably a manager, or his wife or something. Well, I don't care. Like, I really don't care if Bill Cosby doesn't like me. That fucking creep. I mean, I think I said. I mean, the hardest thing I ever said about Steve Austin was like, bro, your gimmick was smashing beer cans on your forehead and drinking them. Like, have a sense of humor, bro. So, I know. So that's 3 people who I'm blocked by. Once again, for those of you just getting into the stream, I am blocked by Stone Cold Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, and Bill Cosby. And I think an ex-girlfriend too, but we won't get into that. I won't tell you her name, because then I know you guys will start messaging her. I know how this fucking internet world works. So I can't trust some of you guys. Yeah, but maybe Stone Cold thought I was the comic, but it was Will Sasso who did the impression of Stone Cold, and it wasn't that bad. Oh, really? That should be a good Steel City con. Oh, thank you, Trailer Park. I'm not for everyone, that's for sure. But I try and keep it real, and I speak up when I feel I've been wronged. I don't know about that B40. I know he got us pulled off of Podcast One. From what I was told, he allegedly said to the owners of Podcast One, "It's me or Piper," and I think Stone Cold's numbers were a little better than ours, but not by much. I mean, Piper was killing it on that podcast. And then we went to Earwolf, and we were kicked off of that, and we were probably the number 1 podcast on that network. I mean, Piper got big numbers. So, I think that more or less killed Piper. I mean, he was probably going to die soon anyway, but I don't think it helped. I'll say that. I mean, Legion of Skanks, they are provocateurs, I guess you'd say. Yes, I am the father, Barry Jelly, on Tyler, the Creator's The Jellies. It's still on HBO Max. HBO Max cut like 80% of their cartoons and animation projects, but The Jellies was not one of them. So I'm thankful for that. It's also still on Adult Swim, the Cartoon Network, and I think you could see some episodes on YouTube, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, when you see a show canceled because that had good numbers, oh shit. my first super chat in over 2 hours of streaming today. Elway Broughton 7. You're for everyone. $9.99. Thank you very much. Let's celebrate Elway Broughton's first super chat on this live stream. Give him a follow. Give him a heart. I'm still not sure how this works, but thank you very much, Elway. You know, I have no intention of thinking I'm going to be rich doing streaming, but it is nice every now and then to get a super chat. And I know. Well, you know, I know that. I mean, I know I'm late to the super chat game. You know, when you look at, you look at today, for example, you know, Melton and Shuley are up in the morning doing it. Chad's up, then MLC, and then Ray, and then Steel Toe. So, you know, I'm like literally, like, who are these podcasts? So I'm like 10th in line in terms of super chat money. So I get it. Which is why I don't like beg for money. Like, hey, we're at the 45-minute mark. If you give me $100, I'll go to, an hour and 15 minutes. Um, so, I don't shill for money on here. But thank you very much, Elway Broughton. Yeah, I mean, you know, it is. I mean, I like doing it. I mean, I did an hour stream today. I didn't get one super chat, but it was fun. You know, it builds up the hours and maybe gets me more subscribers. You know, that's all this YouTube game is how many subscribers you have. Yeah, I mean, I think if me and Piper were around today, it would be like, you know, Kevin Nash's podcast with that guy. You know, I'm funnier than that guy. So I mean, me and Piper would have fucking killed it. Yeah, I mean, there's Tony Mazer, another guy who is streaming. What's your greatest set and biggest bomb you ever had on stage? Probably my roast battle against Tom Ballard. It was just really my roast battle against Jesse Joyce and Tom Ballard. They were just perfect battles. Like I had a strategy. I was out of my fucking mind, excited. So I really killed it. Worst set. I mean, there's been a few. I'm not saying I've never had one. I don't. Probably when I auditioned for a TV show called One Night Stand Up, which was a Barry Katz production. Whitney Cummings is the host. And it was a dating show where the girl never saw your face. She only heard your act. So it's at the Comedy Store, sold out room. I mean, just like hundreds of people in that main room. And I mean, the main room, when it's completely sold out, it looks like that Springsteen video, Born to Run, the live, was just so many people. You can't really see the end of the room. And I was excited. And, you know, I had my hockey jersey on. I think it was a Matthew Barnaby game-worn New York Rangers shirt on. And Whitney Cummings is calling my name to the stage. And your next act is really funny. And Barry Katz grabs me by the back and goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm next." He's like, "I know you are, but you can't wear the goddamn jersey on stage. You think the New York Rangers want to be in on your fucking ass-eating jokes?" And I'm like, okay. So I took my jersey off, which at the time, that's all I wore on stage. Were I had a really god-awful Affliction shirt on underneath, and I just bombed. You know, I thought, well, you know, I want this girl to think I'm edgy. So what I did was, my first joke was about the Duke lacrosse case, and I'm like, "Hey guys, you know the captain of the Duke lacrosse team had a degree in economics, so if anyone knew 47 didn't go into 3, it was that guy." And just a complete bomb. I mean, bomb. Like the whole room was silent, except for my one friend David Taylor, who's got a really dark sense of humor. Like he got kicked off the Jeselnik offensive for being too dark for Jeselnik. So it's not a good sign when you're in a room full of 400 people and Dave Taylor's the only one laughing at your joke. And then my second joke, I got so fucking nervous. I did a racist joke about um, white people have no sports left, and then someone yelled out horse racing. I'm like, well, the jockeys are white, but the horses are still black, and just nothing. And I think the third thing I said after that joke bomb was like, hey, how much time is left? And the funny thing is, after I got off stage, Barry Katz goes, love the dark stuff. Uh, it was pretty bad. That's absolutely my worst set. But I had Barry Katz on my podcast a couple years later. He didn't even remember, so I'm glad. I like Sean Oliver on there. He's not, I'm not saying he's not funny. I'm just saying that I think I'm a professional comic, so I think that I could be a better sidekick to someone. And then Dutch Mantel. I like Dutch Mantel. I mean, he's not the funniest, but he's a good storyteller. Yeah, it was Affliction, Ed Hardy, Tap Out. Have you ever seen Jericho Acapella Youth Gone Wild by Skid Row and attempt to troll Sebastian Bach? I have not. I asked Jericho if I could do his podcast. He didn't say no, but he didn't exactly say yes either. I mean, Bischoff in 83 Weeks, I think him and Conrad are a very good team. I was just listening to 83 Weeks before I came on the stream. But I do absolutely think that me and Piper would have fucking killed it. Absolutely. Well, I like Nash, but I think Nash has to be prodded, kind of like Piper had to be prodded a little bit. And Sean Oliver's, he's very funny, but like I'm professional funny. But what can you say? I mean, I think Roddy would almost be 70 years old if he did not die in, I think, 2014. So I don't know if he'd still be podcasting at 70, but it was, I think thing people forget is that, podcasting is a great way for someone like Roddy or Stone Cold or Flair or Kevin Nash or really any older wrestler to make pretty good money through ads and, stuff like that. And you don't have to travel. Those WrestleCons like Steel City Con. Sting lives in Texas. Do you think at the age of 65 or 64, Sting likes getting on an airplane and waiting at the airport? You gotta go to the hotel. You gotta put your makeup on, and he loves the fans. But whereas if Sting had a successful podcast, he could just stay in Texas and do it from his garage and probably make relatively the same amount of money. So that's why I think Piper really loved doing the podcast so much, because he was tired. He's 61, but he was an old 61. Yeah, it was. I remember because here's, I don't know if a lot of people know this or whatnot, but the working plan was for Roddy just to start coming on Inappropriate Earl. And I think we were just going to do a podcast. I don't know if we were going to call it Inappropriate Earl. We probably would have. Maybe Inappropriate Earl special edition or whatever. And we were supposed to do an episode the day he died. I remember calling him up, and I forget exactly what I said, but I said, "Hey man, I got your waters for you." This might be something cool. I hope I don't cry while I'm doing it. I did save Roddy's last message to me. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see here. Voicemail. Yeah, here it is. All right, so it's only about 30 seconds. I don't know. Hold on.
Well, work on it.
There we go.
No, stop being clue what you need. Well, I'll work on it. And I'll tell you in your podcast tomorrow. You'd be so kind as to throw some digits in a text form my way of where I'm supposed to be at 2 tomorrow, Wednesday, p.m. I would be honored to be there. The rest of the camp up and help you, because I don't know what you need. You're a sick man.
So that was the last message. That was basically the day he passed, or the night he passed. So I don't know if that came through that good, but Roddy was a good man. Treated me very well. Yeah, I mean, he was basically saying he would be honored to do my podcast, and he meant it too. That's the thing with him. So I hope that came through. If you guys want to clip that, you can. I don't know how to do that shit. Someone clipped me the other day, me talking about Kevin Brennan or something, but I'd rather someone clip that. And, if you want to put it up on YouTube, please go ahead. I know it was a little hard to hear, but Roddy was the fucking best. And I miss him a lot. He impacted a lot of people at the Comedy Store. Like he, like when he would pull up in his like 80s American Gigolo Mercedes at the Comedy Store, it was like seeing Superman pull up. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I'd never played that before. So yeah. I mean, he worked. He did a lot of movies, like those shitty independent films that you don't really, like if there's Blockbuster still around, you would see like a Roddy Piper section full of movies that you'd never really heard before. So, he was a good man. Well, Roddy, like he crossed the line. I mean, when he painted himself half black against Bad News Allen, I don't think Bad News Allen was a fan of that shit. That's one guy I wish I would have met and interviewed. Like Bad News Allen kept it real. And Roddy drew heat. Like, I love it when he beat the shit out of that jobber. Was it Frankie Hernandez on Piper's Pit? And then when he said that he could body slam Andre the Giant, and then Andre the Giant just picked him up like a piece of paper. Well, I don't know if OJ would have gotten a WrestleMania spot. So, who are Roddy's favorite? What do you mean? Who are Roddy's favorite people? Like favorite wrestling buddies? I mean, I think he loved the Sheik. I don't know if I would say he loved Flair or Hogan, but we never really had he liked Virgil. I think he was friends with Virgil. So, I mean, all right, we got 2 more minutes, guys. 2 more minutes. Hit the like button if you can. And I'd like to thank my tipper tonight, the newest member of the Earlverse streams, Elway Broughton 7. Thank you very much. $9.99. Very much appreciate that. I think he loved Andre the Giant, Adrian Adonis, Greg Valentine, Jim Cornette, pretty much anyone he interviewed on the podcast with me or before I got there. He didn't really want to deal with people he didn't like. I think the funniest thing was when Randy Broderick, who did her podcast after ours, she asked us to stay once and watch it. And Roddy was like to himself, "Get the fuck out of here. I don't know who this bitch is." The golden boy, Adrian Adonis. Good dark side of the ring on him as well. All right, we got 1 minute left. 1 minute left. In later years, he seemed to get annoyed. Well, it's like goes back to younger wrestlers and older wrestlers and younger comics and older comics. There's definitely a pecking order or whatever. a hierarchy. I'm myself with younger comics and very much like, hey, you haven't paid your dues yet, so you don't get to talk shit to me. When you pay your dues and you get your name on the wall at the Comedy Store, then we could play with each other. But until that day, shut the fuck up, be quiet, do your set, and watch and be respectful. Um, listen, I'm not a CM Punk hater. I'm certainly not a gigantic Jungle Boy fan, but I think they were both wrong. I think Jungle Boy is probably a little cocky and brash, and I think CM Punk, listen, like I said, I know a lot of people who know him. I've never once heard, hey, he's a great guy. Like Omega, I've never heard anything bad about him. Um, I've always heard that Osprey's a good guy. Um, so, it's when you ask 10 people an opinion on something and they all have the same opinion, I'm going to go with them. Now, I had one interaction with CM Punk at the gym. We were working out at Equinox in West Hollywood. And, I think the gym was closing. So we were both walking out at the same time and we almost bumped into each other. And I didn't put my arm around him, but I tapped him on the shoulder. I'm like, hey man, you're one of the few reasons I watch right now. And he just looked at me and goes, don't say that. I'm like, oh, I would, I don't know. If someone came up to me and said, hey, you're one of the few reasons I go to comedy clubs, I'd be like, thanks, man. He liked the Ultimate Warrior too. He always called him Jim. And, he never said anything bad about James Hellwig, AKA Warrior. He loved Sting. I think he was very close friends with Sting. Um, I think he, I don't recall us ever. Um, he never really badmouthed anyone. Frankie Williams, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I just beat the shit out of some jobber. Someone said I'm like Christian. Uh, and I was like, yeah, I'm more like Samoa Joe, but I'm also a little bit like Warrior. Like, I'm very opinionated on shit that's happened to me in the world of comedy. And a lot of people think I'm bitter or have sour grapes. But when I die and they go back and listen to my interviews, they're going to be like they are with Warrior, where, Warrior's called bitter and angry and a malcontent and he never liked wrestling. But you look back at that hour-long shoot video he did on Hogan, most of that's true. The one video where he challenged Kevin Nash to a fight and he talked shit about Nash. Most of that was true. So, I just thought it was funny that, Piper whenever I brought up Warrior's name, he would call him, I love Jim. And he liked Kamala, the Ugandan giant. He liked Kerry Von Erich. Oh my God. LA Broughton 7, another $9.99. Good night, Earl. Thank you. Thanks for being you. Thank you very much. That's $20 basically you gave. I'm Jewish, so I'll say 1998. It's a great year, by the way. Well, not really a great year. It's the year both my parents passed away. But thank you very much, Elway Broughton 7. I really appreciate that. I see you as genuine, not bitter at all. Yeah, I really am pretty genuine. People might not like how I express my views on shit that's happened to me, but it's the only way I know to be. I think Rick Rude. I think Dick Murdoch allegedly put Sting's head in a toilet, and it goes back to, I believe, Sting was, I think, a brash, cocky guy when he was in his early 20s, and Dick Murdoch was a grizzled vet. I forget what they argued about, but allegedly, Dick Murdoch put Sting's head in a toilet. Well, I don't think Warrior was, he was in it for the money. He wasn't a great wrestler, but he didn't want to be Bret Hart. He didn't want to be Lance Storm. He made his living on his looks and his character. SD Jones. I think I did bring up SD Jones. And I think he got along with Rick Rude pretty well. Yeah, Punk said, don't say that. Well, I mean, I thought I was being like, "Hey, man, you're so good. You're one of the few reasons I watch," which I mean it. SD Jones of LA Comedy. Get the fuck out of here. Dick Slater. Oh, okay. I thought it was Dick Murdoch. Uh, no, I'm just fucking around, Kongzilla. Dick Slater put Sting's head in the toilet. Sting was banging his ex. Well, that happens a lot in LA Comedy. I mean, you know how many people banged, not my last ex, but the one before her. I mean, uh, like, Jesus Christ, man, don't get me started on that one. Um, so Sting and Warrior were probably wild back in the day. I mean, think about it. The testosterone's blowing up through their fucking bodies. They're young. They're pussy hounds. They're on. I don't know if Sting ever did the yayo. I don't know if Warrior did any booger sugar, but they were like fucking partying pretty hard. And I mean, Sting and uh, when Hellwig was in World Class Championship Wrestling and Dingo Warrior. You don't think the Von Erichs, Kevin Nash, The Undertaker, Iceman King Parsons, the Freebirds, you don't think they would all hang out at bars and just fuck anything that moves? Peter Chicken Man Brennan, $2. Let me hear you holla. Do you miss all the on a pole matches from WCW? Not really. Who had a smellier under titty, Ralphie May or Abdullah the Butcher? I'm going to go with John Pinette. I mean, I don't think they owned him. I think the video at the end of the day accomplished what AEW wanted for people to talk about AEW. I mean, look at today. Let me go on Twitter right now. Now we're basically 24 hours after the fact in terms of what happened on AEW Dynamite. And let's see. Okay, you've got, Pierre-Luc Dubois trending. That's not a good sign if you're a King fan. We've got Ryback trending. That's not good. Yeeks. Ron Goldman's trending. So we've got the Young Bucks still trending. We've got Punk trending. So, Brawl Out is trending. So, listen, how many Dynamites is there a buzz 24 hours later? Not many. So I think if you're Tony Khan, they had a 9% ratings increase last night. Listen, that's nothing to shake a stick at. That's pretty good. Let me see why Ryback is trending. I hope he's not coming to AEW. That ain't going to help matters. Let me see. Let's go to Ryback and latest. I mean, it's part of their bringing back Jack. They've been teasing his return for a couple weeks now. As well. Let's see. I gotta go. It's something to do with Jack Perry coming back. So, listen, that's not. I mean, I do think I would have loved it if he would have walked across the screen at the end of the video and just looked at the Bucks and goes, "What's up, guys?" But if he comes and costs FTR the match Sunday Dynasty, I'd be down with that. Earl loved Bob Backlund back in the day. I did love Bob Backlund back in the day. Yeah, I mean, a lot of those guys get dementia. I mean, look at Piper. He was 61 when he died. He was, I think, training with Stu Hart and like when he was 15. So that's almost 40 years of fucking chair shots, head shots, concussions. And back in that fucking era, if you had a concussion, it was like, okay, great. Here's some medicine. Gentlemen Chris Adams and Gino Hernandez were awesome. I loved them every bit as much as the Von Erichs in WCCW. I mean, World Class Championship Wrestling. I mean, look at their roster. I mean, they were way more than just the Von Erichs and the Freebirds. You had Colonel De Beers, Iceman King Parsons, Gentleman Chris Adams, One Man Gang. It later became Akeem. Bruiser Brody, Ric Flair. I don't know. I don't want to see Ryback or Goldberg. I mean, Jack Perry, I think, You can't bring back more old dudes, man. I don't want that. What was your favorite thing to purchase at the 99-cent store? Condoms and a Johnny Zapp album I bought. Hello, Gary Hart, my favorite manager. Killer Brooks was a great wrestler. Aaron Solo, not a good jobber. Zero big guys. I mean, they're kind of misusing Big Bill. I mean, he's a fucking star. Like, he's got the look. I mean, he's pretty good on the mic. You've got Wardlow, you've got Luchasaurus. I mean, the potential is there, but they need the writers. They need the creative. I mean, they just do. The small guy will beat the big guy in AEW every single time, pretty much. I mean, Bobby the Brain Heenan was great. I mean, my favorite manager was definitely Gary Hart, especially when he was managing Abdullah the Butcher. Yeah, Big Bill. Big Bill has sat in my Jeep, man, and that is a sight. He likes to do stand up when he's in town, so I get him spots. And I took him to this open mic place, and we went to 7-Eleven afterwards, and it was so funny. I'm not a small guy. I'm probably 6'1", 200 pounds. Bill's legit 7 feet. I'll guess close to 300 pounds. I think when we walked in to the 7-Eleven on Cahuenga and Hollywood Boulevard, that the guy thought we were going to rob the place. And here you have this fucking monster Big Bill buying gummy bears. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Enzo and Big Bill back as a tag team, but once again, it's just one of those things that, they need to develop young talent. So I'd like to see them have more young guys in the fold and women. So we'll see. Hopefully, Big Bill lasts a little longer than Test. And I think there needs to be better managers in AEW. I mean, Stokely's okay. Smart Mark Sterling. I mean, they don't really use him much anymore. Prince Nana's okay. But, I think Mercedes Moné needs a manager. Like, she's great in the ring, but her mic work is, it's never been good. And, to be honest with you, some people just aren't good on the mic. Lance Storm, great wrestler, horrible on the mic. Goldberg, not really good on the mic. Wardlow's got potential. Iron Mike Sharp, get the fuck out of here. He was great. Yeah, good. Yeah, I mean, Tess lived a nice life. Trust me on that one. I don't think. It's a short, fast life, but yeah, but I could see WWE misusing him too. Like he'll be jobbing, and he'll be like Cody's bodyguard, and they'll have him job to, I don't know, Sean Spears or something. I wish AEW kept Sean Spears, but fuck, what are you going to do with him? There's just no room. I think Wardlow has shown he is capable of. He's like a more well-spoken Ultimate Warrior. But, they have him on TV, then he's off TV, then he's back on TV. He's part of the Devil's Group. He doesn't come out half the time. And, now you have a pay-per-view and he's not on it. It's crazy to me. Like, I just don't understand that. And they're doing the same with fucking Jay White. And, Jay White is a top single star. And then, you got him in fucking 12-man tags. Like, what is going on in AEW Creative? Get me in the fucking room. The Jericho rumors are just that, they're kind of he said, she said, and like, you either, you hear his side, you hear the other person's side, and, you make your own decisions. I've heard that about Tony Khan, but, who knows if it's true? Like, that could be just a fucking, who knows? I just like throwing out old names like Big Sweet Hansen, Big, what are you, Haystacks Calhoun while you're at it, Kongzilla. All right, we got one more minute, and then I'm going to watch the rest of the King game in my palatial estate. But I love you guys. Let me thank the tippers. We had a few come in late night. I do appreciate it. Thank you, Elway Broughton 7 for your 2 super chats totaling $19.98. And of course, the legendary Peter Chicken Man Brennan. I very much appreciate it. You know, I'm the bartender in the Earlverse, and you guys tip if you like. Hit like. OT on the way out, yes. Wardlow or Tony Khan? I love you, Elway Broughton 7. And I know in this economy, it's, you know, there's many ways to contribute other than super chats. It's, yeah, although that, you know, I guess that's my preferred way, but like you can hit the like button, you can hit subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Oh, thank you, B40B40. Did you ever see Tim Thomerson perform at the store? No, but I'm a fan of Tim Thomerson, mainly from my favorite war movie of all time with the great Tex Cobb, Gene Hackman, Reb Brown, Michael Dudikoff, Fred Ward, and then I think with not John Witherspoon, but Harold Sylvester, Uncommon Valor. But to show you how big Tim Thomerson was, if you ever go to the Comedy Store, in the original room, there's about 12 names in neon lights. Sam Kinison, Dice Clay, Mitzi Shore, Jeff Scott, the piano player, Roseanne Barr, I think Margaret Cho, and Tim Thomerson. So to get your name in neon lights at the Comedy Store in the original room, that's a big fucking deal. Oh yeah, I mean, I only go when I'm asked, to be honest with you. No, I don't think Leilani Kai get her name in the comedy. Oh, you're talking wrestling again. What about Komana Wanalea? Was that her? I don't know who Kenneth Pogue is. Sorry about that. Today is all about Orenthal James Simpson. Well, I mean, OJ was the wrong color. See, I mean, Tommy Moore. My name's Tommy Morris. I'm a man of color. See, I mean, white's a color, right? Hello. So if you got any last minute questions, I'll go to 1 hour and 20 minutes. So a little under 4 minutes. Get your last minute questions in. Well, thank you, Shawnetta. I appreciate that. You know, people either love me or hate me on these streams. And by the way, I'll be at Hackamania at the end of May in Vegas. Discount code 20% off is just my name, Earl. It's not really bonus. Yeah, it is a little bit of bonus time. We're going to 1 hour and 20 minutes. And when the clock strikes 1 hour and 20 minutes, I don't do a send off. I just hit end stream. I'm going to put the arrow over end stream right now, babies. I'd like to talk to you about old female comedians. You can. It's probably not the time now because I'm about to end the stream in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. But I will be. You got it easy. I will be. We'll probably do another stream tomorrow night at 7. That seems to be a decent time. Carol Leifer, I did a comedy show with her once at Hermosa Magic Club. I don't believe I ever worked with Laura Keitlinger. Earl, are you up for an interview? I can help promote your channel. Yeah, fuck it. Why not, man? Never done a show with Elaine Boozler. DM me on Instagram or Twitter, Marantz Rants. All right, we got 2 minutes left, guys. 2 minutes left. 16:39 left to go in the third period. LA Kings up 3-0. Kings about to go in the power play. So yeah, if you guys ever at the Comedy Store or you're in Los Angeles, you want to go to the Comedy Store, just DM me on Instagram. Never met Joan Rivers, never worked with her, but I was a big fan. I've got 11,000, almost 12,000 followers. To come to Orlando, it's got to pay well. And frankly, I'm not a name really. I mean, although I've been on TV more than most comics. Yeah. I mean, that's, I started when I started being monetized on YouTube. I think I had about 1,600 subscribers. Now I have, I think, 2,350 maybe. So, I mean, I'm a name, but I'm not going to get paid that much. I would do a theater in Orlando, but I won't do the road unless it pays really well. Because I've got voiceovers to fall back on. So for me to do stand-up, say in Orlando or Tampa, places like that, it's got to pay really well. But never say never. All right, we got 20 seconds left. Now you guys know, follow me at Earl Skakel everywhere. Um, oh no, I'm not saying they don't play here. I just, for me to get on a plane, travel 3-4 hours each way, I'll tell you a story next time why I don't do the road that much. I have not heard any words about Artie Lang. Good night.